Recording in progress.
Okay, everyone. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, staff. I'm Crystal Jacobson, and I'm serving as the Placer County Zoning Administrator and Parcel Review Chairman today. This is the April 17th, 2025 Placer County Zoning Administrator and Parcel Review Committee hearing. I want to start by providing some information about the participation in the hearing process today. So the Planning Commission hearing room is open to in-person attendance. In-person public comment will be offered throughout the meeting. For items that are on the agenda, we will take public comment for those items at that time. When providing public comment, please come up to the podium, state your name for the record, and begin your comments, and you'll have 3 minutes to comment. But before we get into the agenda items, the first order of business is to take public comment on any item that is not on the agenda. So this is a time for any member of the public that wishes to address anything that can come up to the podium, state their name for the record, and provide public comment. So do we have anyone in the room that would like to provide public comment on any item that's not on the agenda? Sure, come up to the podium and state your name for the record, please.
Good morning. My name's Kelly Anderson, and I live off Anderson Drive. And not having an opportunity and having a rather hard time being out of my generation to be able to find this information prior to now, I just assume what I'm going to address is not on the agenda. I've tried to obtain these records prior to now through the Planning Division. Leah, her boss, Adam Anderson, and even went to our district supervisor and their representative and could not get some of this information, so that adds just a little bit to the frustration. But in short, I had concerns about the Italian cypress trees. About 2 meetings ago, that was addressed. I just wanted to clear the air. I just got word from one of the family members, and I wanted that to be noted, that they are not going to, touch the trees. They want to keep that feel that makes it Granite Bay now, and a country open feel, and gives us a buffer there for the noise coming off Old Auburn, and be able to enjoy quiet right to enjoyment there.
So, Mr. Anderson, can I just ask really quick, is this about the minor land division extension of time? That's item number 6 on our agenda?
I think it's
it's
the
located
one on Anderson Drive then?
I think so. Hold on.
Or not? Am I out of order?
I think it is. Yes, it is.
Okay, I got lucky
Yeah.
then. That's
No,
all it was.
no, not a problem.
Okay.
But I do need you to speak during that item, so that'll come up in a few. We've got a number of items to get to, so if you have time today to.
Okay, so is that on the agenda actually?
It is on the
Italian
agenda.
cypress
Yeah,
trees?
and
Oh,
the
wonderful.
timing for that,
Okay,
ladies,
one
what's the
other
timing?
thing I wanted to add that was probably not on the agenda was the potential or possibility in the language of the proposal that has been passed up to now and we're asking for an extension on, is the possible renaming of the road, which is Anderson Drive.
Okay.
I went through a legal proceeding on that. I'm sure that's not on the agenda.
We can ask questions about that at that time. So that is an
really not a
agendized
question.
item. It's 10:32. So I can't actually speak to that right now.
Okay.
I can't ask staff to do that. But I appreciate you getting
not
up
a
and providing
question.
comments. So if you can just wait until that item comes up and we'll be able
Well,
to.
that item won't come up because it's not on the agenda.
I can ask some questions about addressing at the time of that agenda item. So again, that's at 10:32, it looks
Okay,
like.
if that's when
So-
you would like to see it, I just figured it wasn't on the agenda. Now there's the time to bring it up.
Okay, I think we can just, I'm going to turn to Hannah.
Yes, sir. So this is an item on the agenda today. So at that time, which it should come up at about
Okay.
10:32,
Wonderful.
there will be public comment
All
and you
right,
can make your
awesome. I will
comments
follow
then.
your lead. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
you.
Thank you very much. Okay. So any other folks that want to provide any public comment on anything that is not on the agenda today? Okay, seeing none, we're going to move on to our 10 o'clock item, which is the Griffiths minor use permit. It's PLN 21-00231. This item was actually continued from a previous hearing. It looks like it was actually continued from the 20th. I'll have staff speak to that. But there was also a hearing prior to that in December 19th, I think it was, in 2024. So this is a request from the property owners, Robert and Brenda Griffiths, for approval of a minor use permit to allow for the accessory storage of one commercial vehicle in a residential zone district. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to staff to provide a report on the matter. I did want to point out first, before we do that, we did get comments. So we received some public comments on this item, which I'll have staff summarize and speak to. So we'll turn to staff, and then I might have some questions for staff, and then I'll turn to the applicant or property owner. Hopefully they're in the room, and then allow time for public comment after that. So with that, I'm going to turn over to staff.
Thank you. Good morning, Ms. Jacobson. Patrick Dobbs of the Planning Services Division. As you said, this is the Griffiths minor use permit, a request for commercial vehicle storage in a residential zone. This item was continued from the December 19th, 2024, as well as the February 20th, 2025 zoning administrator meetings. Property is located at 8310 Cook-Riolo Road. It's about a quarter mile south of Baseline Road in the unincorporated Roseville area. Land use designation is rural, low-density residential, 1 to 2.3 acre minimum, and is currently zoned residential agricultural, combining minimum building site of 1 acre. The property is 1.1 acres. It's developed with a single-family dwelling. There's a detached garage and accessory structure. The owner operates a small excavation business and septic installation. This started all the way back in December of 2020 when a code compliance complaint was submitted regarding the commercial vehicle storage. It included a dump truck, a trailer, and a backhoe at that time. As I understand it, the applicant was working on frontage improvements to their own house. That's why all that equipment was there. But a minor use permit application was subsequently submitted in 2021. The request is to be able to store a single six-wheel dump truck. There's a picture of the vehicle in the staff report, and it would be stored in the rear of the yard as shown on the site plan. Commercial vehicle storage may be permitted within the residential agricultural zone district, subject to approval of the minor use permit. It does not require the vehicle to be stored within a garage. Based on the parcel's conforming size, the physical attributes of the site, and the proximity to neighboring residences, I had concerns about conflicts with the character and compatibility of the neighborhood, and that the proposed land use would have some potential to be a nuisance to neighbors. I suggested that the applicant park the vehicle off-site in a location approved for that sort of use, and recommended denial of the use permit application. The item was heard on December 19th. The applicant testified that the dump truck is only periodically parked at the residence. It's typically stored at off-site, at the job sites. And when it's being stored overnight, it's stored out of the public view. Leading up to that December hearing, we did receive comment letters from neighbors Garrison and Naki in support of the applicant, and I can summarize the reasonings for those. We also had a member of the public show up and speak at that December hearing, again in support of the applicant. At the December hearing, the zoning administrator continued it to February 20th and directed the applicant to work with staff and see if we could kind of come to some agreement on some acceptable parameters for this land use. Unfortunately, I think it was my responsibility to better engage the applicant. We lost some valuable time, and we didn't really get to a point of consensus by the time the staff report was due for the February 20th hearing. Prior to that February 20th hearing, we did receive an email from the applicant. They were ill. They wouldn't be able to attend. February 20th hearing got continued to today, April 17th, and the zoning administrator indicated that action would be taken today. Again, we didn't use the additional time as best we could. We're basically in the same spot as we were back in December. I should mention we've received several emails from a Mr. Reacher. I don't know who he is or where he fits in the picture, but he is opposed to the use permit. I emphasize it is without prejudice that staff recommends denial of the minor use permit for the accessory storage and the commercial vehicle in the residential zone, and in this case return the case to code enforcement for resolution of the violation. That requested action to deny the project is exempt from environmental review. And really, that's about the extent of the presentation I had prepared. The applicant, Robert and Brenda Griffiths, are here to speak to the merits of their application and the use.
Thank you. I'm going to go ahead, I just have a couple questions, but I'm going to go ahead and move through environmental health and engineering and surveying. So I'll start with environmental health. Do you have any
Yes.
comments?
Good morning. No other comments. We just have one condition of approval, should it get approved.
Okay, thank you. And engineering and surveying, any comments?
Thank you, Ms. Jacobson. Engineering and surveying supports staff's recommendation with no conditions of approval.
Okay, thank you. So just a couple questions. I think a couple for you, or maybe just one for you, Patrick. So the time that it took, it looks like it came into planning in December 2020. Can you just speak to kind of the time between that then and now, and what has transpired
Yeah,
in those?
I don't know that I have a great explanation. I'm afraid it sat idle and wasn't appropriately assigned for some time. When it came to me in December or sometime in 2023, I wrote an incomplete letter and I said, we need some additional specifics. What are the vehicles? Where are they being stored? Are they screened? Those sort of things. By all accounts, the applicant has been responsive there in the sense of, when it's being brought home overnight, it's being parked, behind the residence as they indicated. So they have tried to make concessions to make it work.
Okay.
But I don't have an acceptable answer to why we're here on a 2020 project.
And then in driving around, I mean, I did see some other similar type uses in the area. Are you aware of any other permits granted in the neighboring?
Maybe not in the exact same zoning. Certainly along baseline, and the parcels get a little larger. The zoning is slightly different. It is a rural. This is a hardworking blue collar sort of neighborhood, and again, that's why they've received so much support from their neighbors. This is how they provide for themselves, and so again, it is not as though he's been dismissive of the violation per se. He has done what he's could to address the concerns, and frankly, we've just had a hard time kind of memorializing that in terms of how many days a month, and just it's difficult to kind of lock it down.
Okay. Okay, and then I do have a question. I understand code enforcement's in the room. Can you come on up? And I just had a question for you.
Hello.
Good
Ms.
morning.
Jacobson, Marina Howdicky, Code Enforcement Officer.
Thank you so much for being here. I just was wondering if you could speak to violations on the site. I mean, my understanding is the initial complaint was about a few different vehicles. So can you just talk about that? When's the last time you were on site, and were there any other violations that you saw, particularly related to storage or any concerns
No
that
other
you had on the
concerns,
site?
no other violations observed, other than that initial inspection back in, I think it was April 2021. Haven't really seen the truck on a regular basis at the site. When it was there, the owners were doing some work in the front, so it made sense that it was there to kind of help facilitate that. But other than that, have not heard any other complaints, seen any other issues with the site.
Okay, great. Thank you. That's all I have. Thanks. Okay, so at this time, I'm going to go ahead and ask the applicant or property owner, I think, is here to come up and just provide some comments if you'd like, and I might have some questions for you as well.
Hi,
Good
my
morning.
name is Robert Griffiths. I live at 8310 Cucuriolo, and we do have a small family-owned business, and it involves a couple pieces of equipment and a small dump truck. The dump truck is the truck that's in question. Periodically, that truck has been brought home. It's a 2-axle truck. To be quite honest with you, it's no larger than a regular dually pickup that someone may drive. But this truck, we park in the rear of the property. Once again, maybe once a week. All the other times it's left and stored on a job site along with the equipment and the trailer. We just move from one site to another, and that's where we stage our equipment. The incident in which there was back in 2000, whatever it was, 2023, we did have the truck, the trailer, tractor there because we were totally renovating the entire front of our property, the driveways, regrading, pouring concrete back. All that's done, and I'm just, I don't want to get this behind us.
Understood.
Yeah. But other than that, that's about all I have to say.
Can I just ask a couple questions? So there's one picture from one of the folks, I think it was the folks that complained, showed the truck being parked in that kind of like, I did go out to your site, by the way. So that circular kind of driveway area.
Yeah.
So you don't, that happened, but you don't typically park there in that drive?
Never.
Okay.
Well, if we park there, it's our own personal car,
Yeah.
or it's for a friend or whoever may show up. We have electric gates that we enter. That little parking area in the front is for someone coming to visit or whatever, and they go through a man gate. But no, we never park.
Mr. Griffiths, I think when I asked you about it, you said you'd been working in the area and you stopped by the home just to grab some lunch that day. I don't know if you recall that.
What was that again?
This issue of sorry to interrupt, but the photo with the truck parked in front, you just said you work in the neighborhood, you stop by to have lunch sometimes.
Man, this is just so crazy.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. Maybe you swung in there for some lunch or
We
something.
do work. We install septic systems, and a lot of that is being done in our own neighborhood. So there's been maybe a handful of times where it's like, hey, I'm going to go home and have lunch. And so rather than pull all the way in, I did once pull in and park in front of my house, and I was in the dump truck apparently. So yeah,
Okay.
that
So-
probably did happen.
Yeah, but your proposal is for it to be parked in the back.
Correct.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yes, it's parked in the back of the house. It just is, I would never want it parked in the front.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
So one other question on, so the other equipment, I think there was a trailer and a backhoe or something like that, tractor.
Yeah, there's an
Those,
excavator
where
and a
do you
skid
park
steer.
those? Where are those parked, typically, since they're not on site?
I have
Do
a
you-
sister who lives around the corner. We've been doing some work at their house. We're putting in a new tank for their well, and we're doing some grading around the back of their house. They're gonna change out their pool. They have a doughboy. They want to switch all that out. So there's been times when I've came home for a weekend and brought our equipment home to help them out. But like I was saying, 99% of the time, everything, well, our equipment is never brought home, but unless we're using it at home, and there's never a trailer brought there because there's no room to bring the entire rig. But it's left on a job site.
Gotcha.
That's-
Okay.
That's where it's parked.
Okay, perfect. Those were my questions. Thank you
Yeah.
very much.
You're welcome.
So I'm going to turn, if you want to take a seat, I think
Sure,
what I'm going
thank
to turn
you.
now,
All right.
thank you for your responses. I'm going to turn now to members of the public. Is there anybody in the room that wishes to speak on this matter? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to close the public hearing. And I have some thoughts on this, that I kind of want to highlight before taking action. So I did go out to the site. This site is in a residential agricultural district with, as Patrick had mentioned, staff had mentioned, it's a larger lot sizes out here. In a residential agricultural district, you typically do see larger lot sizes like that, and you do see a lot of, I would say, sort of light, intense uses such as this in terms of accessory storage. So this site does, and this district does allow for accessory storage with and a commercial vehicle with approval of a use permit. So I did drive around the area. I didn't just look at this site. I looked around the neighborhood, kind of drove around to see the character. And I did see a lot of similar sized lots within the same sort of district enjoying this type of use on their property. So I saw commercial type vehicles, including tractors, trailers, some trucks parked on these lots, likely supporting, business in the area or ag in the area. So in reviewing the staff report package and proposal, and in reviewing, I went back and listened to the December 19th ZA hearing. I understand that this came in through code enforcement. But the remedy to bring this into compliance is approval of this use permit. So again, it's important to note that the violation was related to the storage of the commercial vehicle, but it's an allowed use with consideration and approval of this permit. So that would essentially bring the code complaint and violation into compliance. I do see this as a light intensity type of use. It's stored overnight, during the day, it's on the job. So what I gleaned from my review is that while there's a complaint, there are also several folks that spoke in support or provided written comments. The comments received were from folks and neighbors who stated that they also enjoy the rural character of the neighborhood and support ag in the area or business, and supporting our local economy, and that like I said, they're enjoying commercial vehicles also parked on site. So this has been zoned this way for a long time, and the size does support this use. I do want to point out, it is a changing landscape out there. You do see a lot of sort of urban development coming in that area, but this area is zoned res ag, larger lots, and this use is allowed with a use permit. I also want to point out, when I look through the materials and testimony provided by the applicant, it appears that they have identified a proposed location to park the vehicle, and that is what is required by the code, where it is off-street. They're proposing to park it behind the home near an existing barn on site or shop or something of that nature on site, and that's illustrated on their site plan. They've also indicated that they're only proposing one commercial vehicle, which is consistent with the code. And that they formerly, at the time of the complaint, had a tractor and trailer on the property, but that those are not, they were just there temporarily while they were doing some improvements on their property. So, and as stated here today, the trailer and the tractor are stored off-site on the sites that they are working on. And then, so in reviewing the zoning ordinance, again, I just want to say there is an allowance for the commercial vehicle parked on site, and so the property is zoned correctly for this use. I also found that there's no requirements for the vehicle, and I think this was stated by staff, for the vehicle to be parked in a covered storage area. So it can be parked on site without being in a garage. So in terms of duration, I did note looking through the ordinance, and staff may underscore this, but there doesn't appear to be any standards related to the duration a commercial vehicle can be parked on site. And in this case, in terms of what I mentioned before with the light intensity, it's really only parked there overnight or during times when they're not in business, they're not operating. So it's for these reasons and these findings that what I'm going to do here today is to take tentative action to approve the minor use permit, PLN 21-00231, to allow for the accessory storage of one commercial vehicle in that district pursuant to section 1756-250. What I'd like to do is continue this item to the June 12th zoning administrator hearing to be able to take final action at that time. I'm not continuing to the May hearing. I want it to go to the June hearing. I will be at that hearing. And then I want staff to report back with a summary of my findings here today, including that the project is consistent with the Placer County zoning ordinance and general plan, and that the establishment of this use is consistent with the character of the surrounding community and will not be detrimental to the surrounding neighborhood, as I've described today. Additionally, I'd like staff to prepare conditions of approval for the project, to indicate that only one commercial vehicle is allowed, indicate the location consistent with the site plan that was provided for the proposed project, that is not to be parked up front in that vehicle, that circular driveway area, but it needs to be parked where they have indicated it will be parked. And then that it can be parked on site whenever it is not in operation, in business.
Administrator Jacobson, might I also suggest a direction to staff to provide findings regarding an environmental review for the project?
Yes, and also come back with findings related to the California Environmental Quality Act. So that concludes that. Yes.
Just real quickly, so just to confirm that as a 10 o'clock time certain item on June 12th,
I'll look to council. Do we need a time certain?
do we need to renotice?
Because it's continued to a date certain, I would also advise a time certain so that there is no renoticing required.
Okay, time certain. 10 a.m. We'll take it up at 10 a.m.
Thank you.
on June, what did I say that was again? June 12th. Okay. Thank you very much for coming. Okay, we're gonna move on. Hold on one second, I gotta get my bearings here. Okay, we're gonna move on to the 1010 item. Are we at 1010? We passed 1010. Sorry, I'm running late, folks. Okay, this item is a design review item. So it's a 1010 item, number 2 on the agenda. It's the Lahontan Golf Clubhouse Improvements Design Review application, and it's PLN 25-00033. For this item, I don't see any correspondence in the record. And so what I'm going to do for this is I'm going to ask if there's anyone in the, anything to add to the report. And I don't see, is planning staff here? Or? Oh, they're on Zoom. I'm sorry. Anything to add to the report? Hi, Heather. Sorry about that. Nothing to add. Okay, so we've got a report in the record. And then I'll ask, is there anyone in the room that wishes to speak on this item? Okay, seeing none. I'm going to take action to approve the Lahontan Golf Clubhouse Improvements Design Review, PLN 25-00033. And that approval is based upon the findings included in the staff report package, including a finding, a California Environmental Quality Act finding, and then also subject to conditions of approval. And the conditions of approval in this one, I believe, are located in the agreement itself. And I think that's it for that one. So anything else? Hannah, am I good on that? Okay. I'm going to move on now to, so thank you for that, everyone. I'm going to move on to the 1011 timed item. This is the Ramos Commercial Tenant Improvement Design Review. This one is PLN 24-00400. This one, and I forgot to mention on the last one the location, but this one is at 16707 Placer Hills Road in the unincorporated area of Meadow Vista. So on this one, I'm going to turn to, I'm not going to take a report. I'm just going to ask staff if they have anything to add to the report package that's in the record.
Nothing to add.
Okay. And then I'm going to open it up and see if there's anyone in the room that wishes to comment on this design review item today. Okay. Seeing none, I'm going to close the hearing on this, and I am going to take action to approve this design review agreement based on the conditions of approval. So there's an agreement. There's also attached conditions of approval. So I want to say subject to the conditions of approval, and based on the findings contained in the staff report package, including a finding related to the California Environmental Quality Act. So that concludes item number 3, the 1011 item. We're moving on. Yeah, thank you very much. Okay, we're going to move on to the 1012 item. This is item number 4 on our agenda. Let me get to my right spot here. Okay, so this one, this is the Richards side and rear setback variance request. It's PLN 25-00021. This is a request for approval of a variance to allow for the construction of a 1,200 square foot accessory storage building 10 feet from the west and north property lines where a 30-foot setback and a 30-foot side and rear setback is normally required. So what I'm going to do on this one, I'm going to turn to staff and see if I have any questions for them, and then I'll ask the applicant if they wish to speak. And then I will open it up to public comments. So I'm going to go ahead and turn to staff.
Good morning. So as you stated, the applicant is requesting an approval of a variance for the construction of a 1,200 square foot accessory storage building to be located 10 feet from the western and northern property lines, where a 30-foot side and rear setback is normally required. The 0.74 acre property is zoned RSAGB 100, or residential single family combining agriculture, combining minimum building site of 100,000 square feet, and is located at 3223 Manzanita Lane in Meadow Vista. The parcel to the northeast, east, south, and west of the subject parcel are likewise zoned RSAG B100 and are developed with single-family residences. A 27.16 acre parcel to the northwest of the subject property is zoned RA B100 WMR. That is residential agricultural combining minimum building site of 100,000 square feet, combining water influence, combining mineral reserve. The project site is constrained by its size and its shape, as well as the existing driveway that crosses diagonally through the parcel and an access easement on the eastern property line that spans from Manzanita Lane to the parcels to the north of the subject property. A 1,700 square foot single family home with an attached 677 square foot garage is currently under construction under building permit number 24-06054. The proposed location of the storage building is the northwest corner of the subject parcel. Due to the site size, shape, single-family home development, and existing easements, the northwestern corner of the parcel remains the only adequate buildable site for the proposed storage building. No comments were received for this item. Staff recommends the zoning administrator approve the variance as supported by the findings contained in the staff report and subject to the conditions of approval. The applicant and I are available to answer questions.
Thank you. Before I move on to environmental health and engineering, I did want to state too, it appears we didn't receive any comments on this in the record. So no written comments.
No written comments.
Okay. Okay, environmental health. Do you have any comments?
No
Jeff?
comments from environmental health.
Okay, thank you. And engineering and surveying.
Thank you, Ms. Jacobson. Engineering and surveying supports staff's recommendations with no comments or conditions.
Great, thank you. Okay, I have no questions for staff at this time, so I'm going to go ahead and open it up to the applicant or property owner representative. Are they here in the room today and wish to speak? Do you wish to provide any?
Summarized it well. I don't answer questions, but I don't have any.
Okay, so we are going to open it up for public comment. Is there anybody in the room that wishes to speak on this item? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing. And I am going to take action to approve the Richards side and rear setback variance, PLN 25-00021. That approval is based upon the findings contained in the staff report, including a finding related to the California Environmental Quality Act. And that finding is that this project is exempt from environmental review. And then I'm also going to, this project will be subject to the conditions of approval listed in the staff report. And then I also want to just note that since there were, we're going to go ahead and waive the appeal period since no comments were received either written or here today at the hearing. So since we received no correspondence, the only people that have the right to the appeal is the applicant, if they wish. Otherwise, you can go actually pull a permit if you'd like to do that. And the appeal fee, I just need to state, is $752. So that's it. That concludes that item. Thank you very much. Okay. Okay, we're going to move on. We're going to do a little shuffling. Oh, we got it. Okay, you're fast. We are going to move on to the 10:22 a.m. timed item. This is item number 5 on the agenda. It's the Mitchell Minor Land Division, PLN 23-00420. This is a request from Dale Mitchell for approval of a minor land division to subdivide a 16.96 acre parcel into 2. And I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to staff. So again, on this one, what we're going to do is turn to the staff team over here for a report on the matter. And I did want to mention on this one, we did have comments received on this one, but they were comments that came in as part of the preparation of the environmental document. So I'll have staff kind of summarize those in your presentation. But otherwise, we didn't get any recent comments, is my understanding, if you can confirm that. But I'm going to turn it to staff for a report out, and then I will open it up to the applicant or property owner representative. And then following that, I'll open it up to public comment, and then I may have more questions for staff. So with that, take it away.
Thanks, Ms. Jacobs. The property owner, Dale Mitchell, is requesting approval for a minor land division to subdivide a 16.69 acre property into 2 resultant parcels consisting of 6.39 acres and 10.57 acres. Parcel 1 has an existing 1,408 square foot single family residence with an approximate 200 square foot accessory building, and it uses an on-site well and septic system. A 40-foot easement from the Alta Bonnie Nook Road provides access to Parcel 1 will also turn west to access Parcel 2. The access driveway will require an easement, which will be recorded as part of the minor land division. Parcel 2 is also required to have an on-site well and septic system. The 16.96 acre subject parcel is located at 34155 Alta Bonnie Nook Road in the unincorporated Alta area. It's zoned RAB100, which is residential agriculture, combining minimum lot area of 100,000 square feet. There's an unnamed stream that runs through the northern portion of the property. It runs east to west, and the property is slightly sloped from east to west as well. It's heavily forested and surrounded by rural residential land with single-family residences. A mitigated negative declaration, State Clearinghouse number 2025020481, has been prepared for this project pursuant to sections 15070 of the California Environmental Quality Act guidelines and section 18.16.101 of the Placer County Environmental Review Ordinance. The mitigated negative declaration was circulated on February 13th, 2025 for a 30-day review period, which closed on March 14th, 2024. As you referenced, some letters were submitted during the mitigated neg dec review period. 6 letters were received total, 1 from Caltrans, 1 from the Central Valley Regional Water Control Board, 2 from PG&E, and 2 letters from residents nearby. The Caltrans letter is a standard letter for review of projects to inform the applicant that Caltrans had no comments. The first PG&E letter is a standard letter that states they will review the project and include information on requirements as it relates to gas and electric facilities. The second letter from PG&E states that the proposed project does not seem to interfere with their easement rights or facilities, and so they have no issues or concerns. The Central Valley Regional Water Quality Control Board letter is a comment letter in response to the review of the mitigated neg dec. A 5th letter was received from Peter Estes in support of the project proposal, and a 6th letter from a neighbor, Victoria, with a concern about possible impacts to her driveway. Staff was able to contact her and tell her that the project would have no impacts on her driveway. And I believe there was one more comment that was submitted to the zoning administrator and myself last Friday. I don't know if you saw. They were also in support of the project as well. County staff recommends approval of the Mitchell Minor Land Division and an adoption of the mitigated negative declaration pursuant to section 15070 of the CEQA guidelines and section 18.16.010 of the Placer County Environmental Review. I'm available if you have any questions, and I believe the applicant, Greg Nichols, is here on behalf of Dale Mitchell.
Great, thank you. I'm going to go ahead and take environmental health and engineering comments, and then I'm going to open it up. I do need to open the hearing up as the parcel review committee hearing. So I'm going to go ahead and take your reports, and then I'll do that. So go ahead.
Yes, environmental health supports staff's recommendation, subject to our conditions of approval listed in the staff report.
Great, thank you. And
Engineering and surveying supports staff's recommendation with the conditions of approval.
Fantastic, thank you. Okay, so one item at the top of this item, or one thing at the top of this item that I did not do was that I needed to adjourn as the zoning administrator, but that's okay because we're starting the hearing right now. We'll take testimony. So I'm going to adjourn as the zoning administrator and reconvene as the Placer County Parcel Review Committee. And so with that, what I'm going to do is ask if the applicant or property owner or representative wants to provide any comment on this item. If they're here?
I'm here. No additional comments.
Okay. Okay. And then is there any member of the public in the audience that wishes to provide comment? I know we had a gentleman here earlier. Okay, come on up and state your name for the record.
My name is Peter Estes. We've been working with Greg on this property, and we're going to be the eventual owners. The only comment I have is that we had commented before the properties with the house were transposed in what you have. So the larger property is the one with the house on it, not the smaller property.
Okay. Okay, great. Thank you for that. Anyone else in the room that wishes to speak on this matter? I know there was a gentleman here that was here earlier. Oh, no, that's for another item. Sorry. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak on this matter? Okay. I actually did notice that. About the parcel size. So do you want to clarify for the record, Joe, like the parcel the parcel's being divided and the existing improvements are located on parcel 2 is my understanding.
Yeah, I know during our mitigated neg deck review, there was discussion about the parcel numbers being switched. So you'd like me to reread with the correct numbers? Okay.
Okay. Great.
That would be, let's see, parcel 2 is 6.39 acres and parcel 1 is 10.57 acres.
Okay, great, thank you.
I think it's switched. No, parcel 2 is the one with the existing home, the larger parcel, 10.57 acres. And parcel 1 is the undeveloped future parcel at 6.39 acres. And that's what's reflected also on the tentative map.
Gotcha, okay. Thank you for that.
Sorry about the confusion.
Okay, so with that, I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing. And I'm going to take action to approve the Mitchell Minor Land Division, PLN 23-00420. And that decision is based on the findings contained in the staff report. And I want to also, we have a mitigated neg deck that we need to adopt here. So I want to read into the record that finding. So a mitigated neg deck declaration, State Clearinghouse number 202502041, attachment B in the staff report, has been prepared for this project pursuant to section 15070 of the California Environmental Quality Act and the Placer County Code section 1816010. The project was determined to have no significant adverse effect on the environment, and the 30-day public review period for the mitigated negative declaration closed on March 13th, 2025. So I am finding that I have considered this mitigated negative declaration and the proposed mitigation measures and the staff report and all the comments, and hereby adopt the mitigated negative declaration for the project based upon the findings contained in the staff report. So they're listed, there's 4 of them under the California Environmental Quality Act findings.
Administrator Jacobson, might I just suggest clarifying whether or not you're also adopting the mitigation monitoring and reporting program also attached as part of the MND?
Yes, I am also, is that, yep, I don't see it listed under the attachments, but let me find what page it's on so that I can reference it.
And it is also part of attachment B.
Okay, attachment B. So I'm also adopting the mitigated monitoring and reporting program that is included as part of this mitigated negative declaration. So adopting that as well. And then I also want to note that this decision is subject to the conditions of approval listed in the staff report as well. There were no changes to the conditions of approval, so we are approving the conditions that are listed in the staff report. So that concludes item number 5 on the agenda, and I'm going to move on to item number 6. I'm going to take just a brief pause here so I can gather my my materials. Okay, I'm going to move on to the next item on the agenda, which is item number 6. This is the 1032 item, and we're okay on time here. This is the Baljet Minor Land Division extension of time. This is PLN 19-00295. And on this one, we do have public comment, so I'm going to ask staff to kind of summarize that. It actually was I think like a picture that was submitted, so we're going to go ahead and ask staff to kind of summarize that when they provide their report. So what I'm going to do here, so this is actually considering a request for approval of an extension of time for a currently approved tentative map. So this is a project that has already been approved. And so I'm going to turn it over to the staff team for a report on this matter. And then I'll open it up for the applicant or property owner representative, and then I'll open it up to public comment after that. So,
thank you, Ms. Jacobs. We did receive a comment. It was actually photos of cypress trees that line along Anderson Road from a neighbor. Mr. Anderson is here with us today. He is concerned that the trees would be removed contingent on the 40-foot wide vehicle access condition of approval. That got approved originally with the project, and he would like to state that he would like to see those trees remain in place. So we can discuss that more. But this request is from applicant Timothy Blair, who's here today. He's representing the Surveyors Group, Inc. on behalf of the property owner Anderson Bradshaw Holdings, LLC. The approval of this second 2-year extension of time for the Baljeet Minor Land Division, Planning 19-00295. The subject property is located at 9631 Anderson Drive in unincorporated Granite Bay area. The 3.9 acre parcel is zoned RS-AG-B40. That's residential, single family, combining agriculture, combining minimum building site of 4,000 square feet. The APN is 468-060-001-000. The minor land division is requesting the extension of the expiration date of the tentative parcel map to extend to February 20th, 2027. The Baljeet Minor Land Division approved by the Parcel Review Committee originally on February 2020. This allows for a 3.92 acre property to be subdivided into 3 separate parcels consisting of 1.11 acres, that's parcel 1, 1.60 acres, parcel 2, and 1.21 acres, that would be parcel 3, with an original expiration date of February 20th, 2023. This is the second extension of time being requested. The first one was received February 6, 2023, prior to the expiration date of February 20th, 2023. And that was approved to extend it to February 20th of 2025. We did receive the request November 22nd of 2024 for the second extension of time, so it was given, requested in time before the February 20th expiration date. They plan on, with this, given we give this second extension of time approved, it would give them time to complete this project so they can establish getting their tentative parcel map approved in the final map. And that new expiration date, if granted today, would be February 20, 2027. The conditions of approval did change. We did modify a few of them. The conditions that were modified were conditions 1, 8, 10, 11, 12, 24, and 29, in addition to Parks condition number 25. So it was just basic verbiage. So that's that, and we can address the tree issue also. And I'm available if you have any further questions.
Great, thank you. Okay, environmental health, do you have anything to add?
Nothing to add.
Okay. And engineering and surveying?
Thank you, Ms. Jacobson. Engineering and surveying supports staff's recommendation with the conditions listed in the staff report.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to the applicant or property owner representative if they're here in the room. Would you like to come up to the podium and state your name for the record?
Yes, my name's Timothy Blair with Surveyors Group, and I'm here to answer any questions. I'm not quite sure, but I believe the improvements begin at the end of Anderson Drive.
That was, when I read through the conditions, that was my understanding too.
Yeah, so it wouldn't affect those trees, I believe. Don't take my word for it, but
yeah, I saw it as the condition, or sorry, the improvements starting at the end of the drive as you go into the
Yes.
properties that are being. I'll ask staff to confirm that. Is that correct?
That's what I assumed as well.
Okay. So there's no intention of taking out the cypress trees on.
my understanding, no.
It looks like some of those trees may actually go into the parcel. That was when I looked at that, it looked like there's some of them that kind of go into the parcel there that are on the property, or are they all off-site?
That I do not know. It's this is an extremely old project, and it's been a while since I've been out there, and I'm not part of the site improvements anymore. They hired another firm to do those, so I'm not privy to that answer.
Okay, is staff aware of that? No?
I was not.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and thank you for that. And I'm going to open it up to folks in the room. I know there was a gentleman that spoke. Yeah, this is your opportunity to come up and provide public comment. You need to state your name for the record.
Thank you very much. I'm Kelly Anderson, and I live at 9611 Anderson Drive. And just to answer the last question, is the Italian cypress do continue past the gate opening to the parcel or the project. So they do run through there, and I think that photo may illustrate that or not. I wanted to thank Amelia. She was able to get and, provide information that it took me over 7 months not to get, to this point in a very short period of time, and the clerk of the board as well was very helpful yesterday and providing some of the photographs. I was relieved. I also wanted to mention as a point of interest, obviously, the property in general is family property, not that it all is, but the beginning of Anderson Drive and the Anderson Drive property, which used to be Old Auburn Road address, was renamed some years ago and was quite a legal process through Placer County, and about 28 different criterias at that time. One is that it provided historic value. The trees themselves are not all that old. They're probably about 50 years old, and that tells you how old I am because I planted them. So the road improvement, the 1.5-inch overlay and everything was all done as a labor of love. And so we have a wonderful neighborhood. We're really glad to be part of Granite Bay, by the way. And I know that I've spoke to the other neighbors and don't feel like I'm a representative of all of them, but I know they're all in favor of the project. Nobody's opposed to the project. We know and want to let you know we recognize it's already been approved as well. So it's kind of a prayer and a plea that, to underline what was accomplished, or I felt was accomplished about 2 public meetings ago, and that was that what we're saying now, and just getting it confirmed that the trees will stay in place. And I think that's in accordance, as you guys know, with the Granite Bay and Placer County guidelines for what what would you say, a normal road width is in that type of rural setting for easement access, serving those types of properties. So I think it's certainly legally supported as well. With that said, I did get word as a point of interest from Hari Joel, which I haven't seen him in quite some time, but he says, Kelly, we are not going to touch those trees. We want to keep it just like it is. It gives it that rural, open, spacious Granite Bay feeling that we all hope to maintain. And he also mentioned that 2 cross culvert pipes would be installed in addition. I do think there was some talk and language about the road, and the improvement of the road is part of that project as well, which would put it, on the other side of their property line and the gateway itself. And he did state that basically the cross culvert pipes would be installed, 2 of them, and that was a concern of the adjacent neighbor, Terry and Pete, which couldn't be here because of the vacation and holiday time. With that, I think I'm overdoing my time here. That's got to be the prompting. With that, I wanted to thank you. There was some concern as well, real quickly, about the potential or possibility of the renaming of the road. I explained the history of it a little bit, and I think that, that's just a general language that's possibly used in there, and that it would have to really have justifiable or, legal grounds or means to actually rename the road. So thank you.
And we can ask staff about that. I don't think there's any proposal to rename the road. Is that correct?
I've not seen or heard anything regarding a road change.
Yeah. Thank you,
Name
Amelia. Thank you.
And if there was a road change name, can you maybe just discuss what that would look like?
I'll follow up
Okay.
with front counter staff and see how that.
Okay, great. So she'll meet with you after the hearing and just to talk to you about if there was a proposal sometime in the future about a road change, what that process looks like.
Okay.
So that you can be involved in that.
Okay.
But for now, anyway, it looks like no proposal to change the name of the road.
Yeah. It was quite a major feat to, an accomplishment at that time. I knew people that worked in Placer County, and it was no favor whatsoever, but everybody stood up and applauded. They knew it was a long, drawn-out process, and it took the voting of all the people in the area to adopt that name. And it wasn't called Kelly Way. It was called Anderson. It was a tribute to the family that had been here since the time that Roseville was 10,000 people. So that used to be a dumping ground at the end of the property line where everybody dumped their trash. So it was a very undesirable property. So a lot has changed since then. But, so hopefully, just because of this project, that wouldn't give the means or the leverage to rename the road and encompass other aspects of the project, and I just trust it'll work out.
Okay.
Yeah,
Great.
thank you.
Thank you so much for your comments. Appreciate that. Okay, is there anyone else here today that wishes to speak on this item? Okay, seeing none. I'm going to take action to approve the Baljet Minor Land Division Extension of Time, PLN 19-00295. This decision is based on the findings contained in the staff report, including a finding related to the California Environmental Quality Act, that it was exempt from environmental review. And it's also based upon the conditions of approval listed in the staff report. And those have been modified here today. So you'll see the modified conditions in red text. And I did want to point out that it sounds like everything's okay with the trees, so we're not going to add a condition to that. They're not on the property, and so I think we're okay with that. And then if you can just meet up with the gentleman after this to talk about addressing, that would be fantastic. Thank you. And then before that, before I finish this one, I also want to just point out that since we did receive comment on this request, there is a 10-day appeal period before this decision becomes final. If anyone disagrees with my decision here today or feels that they have been adversely affected, they can file an appeal of this decision, and my decision will be set aside until such time the appeal can be heard by the Planning Commission. Should an appeal be filed, it would be subject to the filing fee of $752. So with that, I'm gonna, before I move on to I think the next item here is consent agenda items on the Parcel Review Committee agenda. I just wanted to also state that the appeal rights that I just read off for the record also apply to all other items on the agenda. I think I missed a couple here today that we didn't have comment. But my decisions here today is appealable. And the appeal fee here is $752. So if any folks here wish to appeal my decision, they are welcome to file an appeal fee. Okay, moving on to the Parcel Review Committee consent agenda items. We have, it looks like 6 items on the consent agenda. These are all minor boundary line adjustments. And what I'd like to do now is ask if there is anyone in the room or staff if staff have anything to add to the reports, or if there's anyone in the room that would like to pull these items from the consent agenda to speak to them. Okay. Seeing none, I'm going to go ahead and take action to approve these items. I'm going to list them separately. I'm going to approve item number 7, the Snowcrest Minor Boundary Line Adjustment. This is PLN 24-00119, and make a finding that this is exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act. I'm also going to approve item number 8, the Raccoon Creek number 1 Minor Boundary Line Adjustment, PLN 24-00360. And make a finding that this one is also exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act as listed in the staff report package. And then I'm going to move on to item number 9. I'm going to approve the Raccoon Creek number 2 Minor Boundary Line Adjustment, PLN 24-00366. And I'm going to make a finding that this one is also exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act as outlined in the staff report package. And then move approval of Raccoon Creek number 3 Minor Boundary Line Adjustment, PLN 24-00356, and make a finding that this one is also exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act as outlined in the staff report package. Moving on to item number 11, this is the Musso Road LLC Minor Boundary Line Adjustment, PLN 23-00158. I'm going to approve this minor boundary line adjustment and make a finding that it is also exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act as listed in the staff report package. And then finally, the last item on the consent agenda, number 12, this is the Terboro LLC minor boundary line adjustment, PLN 24-00219. I'm going to approve this item as well and make a finding that this is also exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act as outlined in the staff report package. So with that, we're at adjournment. I'm going to now adjourn as the Placer County Zoning Administrator and Parcel Review Chair, and this concludes the April 17th, 2025 hearing. Thank you very much for attending.